All right, folks, here we are back live again on Facebook and YouTube. It's March 31st. It is a Tuesday, I believe. No hockey again for me tonight, so I will do some broadcasting here with my friend Ron on Facebook. Ron, thanks again for joining me here.
As always, a pleasure.
So I heard you had a crazy baseball game today. Why don't we start off with something fun?
All right.
Crazy
So,
baseball game.
did my noontime game today. It was the high flying 78 Houston Astros, which just had a 13-game winning streak snapped, and the St. Louis Cardinals, who were already looking to play some golf for 1978. This is not my favorite live sporting moment, by the way. And so figured I'd be done. I tried to be done about 1. My wife goes in about 1:30, so I gotta pee and get something to drink, and she's gotta get set. So ideally, baseball works in that slot because it's about an hour.
Right.
The best laid plans of mice and men, Davey. St. Louis tied it in the 9th, and we played 17 innings in Houston. Nobody scored between innings 10 and 16. And in the 17th, I think Houston popped out 6 or 7 runs.
That starts getting a little hangy, doesn't it? When you get that deep in the game, it's like just end.
Want it to be over. I mean, you get a good crowd, and people are not leaving, and you're having a good time with it. But it's like, wait a minute, I forget. I think it was 3-3 after 9. And so, okay, so 6 runs in 9 innings. You think that somebody over the next 7 innings could push home a run? No.
Well, that's when I watch playoff hockey, I'm the same way. It's like, okay, overtime, this is great, but then by the second overtime, like, can we get this over with? Please?
Oh, I remember my parents, I think, wanted to kill me for 3 or 4 years at one point. Well, for a variety of different reasons, but game 1 of the 90 Cup Finals, which was Edmonton, Boston, at the Garden in the fog, and the power went out.
Yeah.
And the game went into triple overtime.
It was like 2 a.m.
Oh, it was, I think, 1:17 in the morning.
And I remember where I was watching. I was actually watching it a couple streets over where I used to watch the dog. The guy had a little screen house outside. And I think it must have been May, so it was nice out.
Yeah.
And this game just went on and on and on. And I remember that we were all tired because it was a weekday and we all had to work in the morning, from what I remember.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like a Monday or Tuesday night. Maybe.
It was a Monday night.
And we didn't want to leave, though. You know, Bruins were in the finals and it was overtime. And I remember when Klima scored that goal, and I remember the guy just like unplugged the TV. I don't think he shut it off. I think he unplugged everything, which shut off all the lights and everything in the screen room that was outside. And we just all left dejected. We just, okay, gotta go. It's like,
I listened to it. We watched the game in French because we didn't get the CBC. We got Channel 9 out of Sherbrooke, Quebec, which was SRC, Radio Canada. And so
Sherbrooke, who names a city after an ice cream?
Sherbrooke, not
Come
Sherbrooke.
on, that's so Canada. Well, let's go to Sherbrooke.
Let me finish this story because you think I ruined your streams. I ruined their night. And so we're sitting there and we're watching it en français, and the game just goes on and on and on. So they had rented a movie to watch after I went to bed because I was home from college. They went to bed. They put me to bed. I listened to Peter Klima's goal on the radio. I found it.
Really?
You know, that you couldn't get 15-10 in Boston, but you could kind of get it up in Duxbury, Vermont. So I heard Bob Wilson, Peter Klima scores, and that's it. Anyway, the overtime in French is prolongation.
Oh.
And so by the third overtime, it was troisième prolongation, or prolongation troisième, third overtime. That was the only game of that series I was allowed to watch.
Because it went deep. Yeah.
Yeah. One set, face off was at 8:00 and it ended at 1:15.
Yeah, that's a long game. Just get it over with at that point. I remember I played a hockey game in 1995. I was playing in a hockey tournament, and we played a lot of games that weekend. And I remember we made it all the way to the finals, and the finals went into overtime. And I remember I sat on the bench. I was like, went to overtime. I was like, guys, I'm done. I played enough hockey. I'm tired. And I was a lot younger back then too. But I was like, I'm just tired. I just want this to get over. And so overtime into the tie, and then it goes to a shootout. And I'm just like, can we just get this over with? And the other team ended up winning in the shootout. And I don't think anybody cared at that point. It was just, I just want to go home. It was just way too long. Way too long.
Kenny doing double duty. How you doing? When my wife got went to the second nursing home that she worked at around here before we moved here. So it must have been 2000. And it would be, what I would do at night. This was before streaming and all that, was, put on the Red Sox game on my little 13-inch color TV set I had in the bedroom. They were playing Tampa Bay one night. And so it was a good way to kill 3 hours. Good morning, Larry. And so she was always home about 11:45. It's amazing how that happens. She works across the street and she still gets home at 11:45. Anyway, and so they were playing Tampa Bay when Tampa Bay wasn't very good. I don't remember who was pitching. It doesn't matter because the game went 19 innings. And so we went past 10:30, 11 o'clock. Sarah's coming home. I'm barely hanging on. Sox are, it's a good game. And Sean McDonough and Jerry Remy on TV. And by the 15th inning, Sean turns to Jerry and said, "You want to do an inning of play-by-play?" And Jerry says, no way. And so Sarah gets home. Sarah jumps in the shower. Sarah's ready for bed. It's got to be 1 o'clock. I don't remember who won. I don't really care who won.
Yeah.
Sean and Jerry on TV. Just somebody win this blankety blank game.
Yeah.
19
I remember when I was a kid, I was watching a Red Sox game and they went into the ninth. And I forget what the score was, and it's like, come on, we gotta go. I'm like, no, I don't want to go. The Sox are it's late in the game. It's a close game. It's like, no, we're going over to so and so's house. I was like, oh, so I was all bummed out as a kid. So we get out, we take the ride, we get to the people's house. Hi, how you doing? Blah blah blah. And somehow I snuck into the other room and turned on the TV, and the game was in the 14th inning. They were still playing.
Oh my god!
And I was like, all right, I didn't miss it. And I can sit here and just catch the end of the game. That was so cool. I remember that as a kid. But yeah, tonight we're talking, trying to have some fun tonight. What is your favorite live sporting moment or moments?
I got one on the flip side of that.
All right. So, I mean, yeah, so we're throwing this out for the chat tonight. We're going to talk about what game you at that sticks out in your mind that, when you're sitting around the fire like this, we are. I'm going to talk about, I remember the time I was at this game and this happened, and that was pretty damn cool. And it doesn't have to be a Super Bowl or anything like that, but just something that sticks out to you. Because I got a couple of fun moments too. So, but Ron wants to bring the stream down. So, Ron, what do you got?
Wow. Okay, Monty, I'll take door number 1.
Is this going to be scary?
No, it's not. It's not. It's the opposite of working. Or no, either one can. Either one.
Yeah, this is up to you. I mean, if we were sitting around here having a beer at the bar, just like, I remember this time that this was pretty damn cool. So we're in another town for a cousin's wedding, okay? And they had Nesson and cable, which we didn't necessarily have. So I'm watching the White Sox and the Red Sox on a Saturday afternoon. I'll spare you most of this. The point of the story being, we get in the car. He's backed up. He thinks I'm going to take 20 minutes to tell the story. We get in the car. We go to the church for the wedding. It's the top of the 11th. We go in the church, and it doesn't. So we go to the world's fastest wedding. I think it was over in 15 minutes. We get in the car. The White Sox went down 1-2-3 in the top of the 11th. We get in the car, and the Red Sox are just starting the bottom of the 11th inning. That's the story, Dave. You made a big deal, so that's the shortest. Wow.
Yeah.
Shortest wedding you're at. That, must have been sweating that out.
Oh, and I think they were practically divorced before they got married. They just decided to throw the party.
That was crazy. So what does Kenny got? Between the 2003 Stanley Cup and 1 long interviews with Johnny Bannister, Ken Dryden.
Nice.
So that's pretty cool. Dave Little, 1990 World Series games. 2 Reds beat Dennis. Excellent extra innings. Billy Bates scored a winning run. I was in the stands. That's pretty cool. I went to the back in 2009, the Patriots game when they had the old uniforms on, and
Roger Bannister, by the way, not Johnny.
Okay, and they and the Patriots played the Oilers, not the Oilers, Tennessee, but it was the old Patriots uniform, the old Oilers uniform when Brady hit Moss for like 6 touchdowns in the first half or something, and they
That wasn't a
destroyed him.
snowstorm game, was it?
Yeah, I was at
Okay.
that game, and we left at halftime because the snow came in. It was a 4:00 game in October. I was lightly dressed because it was October. The wind whipped in, the rain turned to snow. Everyone was frozen, and the Patriots were destroying them. And it's too bad I couldn't even enjoy the game. I spent everybody was in the bathroom because that's the only place that had heat, and we were all in there huddled around the air thing, and they were out of gloves, so that nobody could buy any gloves, and I was soaked and freezing at halftime, and I said I'm leaving. So we left at halftime, and everybody left. Like the lines of people leaving there because the weather was so bad and the game was such a blowout. But I was at that game for half of it. My only time I've been to Gillette.
Really?
Yep, the only time I've been there. I've been to the club there a couple of times for a couple of shows.
Never a concert?
Never a concert. I'm supposed to go to Rammstein in September if it's still on. That's going to be my first concert there.
Did you ever go to a concert at Foxborough or Schaefer or Sullivan or the old place?
No, the only outdoor concert I've ever been to is a place called Great Woods, and I think it's called, I don't know what it's called now, Comcast Center or something like that. It's down in Mansfield, Mass. I've been to that a few times. I don't really go to the outdoor stuff. First Fenway with his dad in '64. Yep, that was a good one. I also, behind me here, the Ice Cats, Worcester Ice Cats. They were a minor league hockey team back from 1994 to 2004. We talked a little bit about that last night. I was at a game, Worcester Ice Cats game, me and the wife. And we were sitting, it was a Sunday afternoon. I want to say it was a 3:00 game. Excuse me. And so we're sitting there watching the game, and I forget who we played. I don't remember the name of the team we played. And after 2 periods, it was 5-0 visitors. Right. So second period ends, it's 5-0, and the place gets up and leaves. Right. And we sat there, and I remember I leaned back in my chair, and because we were against the glass, I put my foot against the glass and just like crossed my legs. And I was like, I got nothing to do. And I looked at her, you want to stay? She's like, yeah. So we stayed, and we just chatted with a few people that were left, but the place emptied out. I would say that there was probably 5,000 people there, and I'd say half of them left. It was my league game. And they come out in the third period. They scored 6 times and won 6-5.
Wow.
And the last goal they scored was like with a minute to go or overtime, I forget. But it was unbelievable. And I sat there, and it was hilarious because somebody was leaving. It's like, you got to believe. So I kept putting my hand on the glass, right? You got to believe. And they scored a goal 6-1. I'm like, you got to believe. And I didn't think they were coming back. I was just being a jerk, funny guy. And 6-2, you got to believe. 6-3, you got to believe. They changed goalies, right? I think it was at 6-4.
Now, are they shooting at your end, or are you watching?
They're shooting at us, right?
Okay.
Check this out. So I think it was either 6-3 or 6-4, and the away team took their goal to change the goalie, right? So they put in the other goalie, and he comes in and he does like a half a stretch. And I said to myself, this guy's not ready. This guy's not taking this serious. The face-off at center ice, Worcester won it back to their defenseman. He shot it from his blue line, and he beat the goalie. Made it 6-5. And I said, I told you he wasn't ready. I told you. He came in, he goes, yeah, whatever. We're still creaming these guys. He was not ready mentally, and they beat him from their own blue line on a shot along the ice. Place goes nuts. Whoever was there. I saw the coach like going nuts, right? And they ended up tying it up, and I think they won it either late in regulation and overtime because it was nutty. It was just like, you got to believe. And then, of course, the next game we show up, everybody that had left. Where'd you go? You missed the greatest comeback. You missed the greatest comeback in Ice Cats history because you left, So, yeah, that was crazy. That was another fun one. So, Scott, what's Scott got to say here? That's a big one there.
Worked security at the Duke Gaddon for the 95 National Championship NCAA hockey final. BC versus Michigan. Triple overtime ended at 12:30 in the morning. Best game I've ever seen with the best opening laser and highlight show. 15 minutes long. Was in the player lobby at the end, passing the trophy from parents to players. They left at 3 in the morning.
Wow. Three
That's
OTs.
great.
3 OTs. And yeah, that's why you never leave. Although, I mean, that was the only time that really happened. I mean, how often are you gonna at 5-0, you're gonna come back in one period? But they
Not
did.
often. If you did,
And
people
it
were
was
expecting.
hilarious. So we made the best of it, and we were just like, whatever, I got nothing to do. And we hung out, and we ended up sitting around. And so that was one of my favorite live
That's
sporting moments.
awesome.
Yep.
By junior year of high school, our boys basketball team was incredible. We went 18-2, and I was the PA guy that year. So I did for most of the home games, like, starting at center, that sort of thing. And so we won the semifinal by 20. And so we're playing a comparatively similar sized school in the final. And we get to 1 second to go, and our center got fouled. And so literally he had the state championship from the foul line, and he sunk them both.
Oh, nice.
And so there wasn't, I don't think they had a timeout to burn. So they couldn't get it to half court and call a timeout. And so Lamoille had a huge player. He must have weighed 230, 240. And he is just trying to fling that thing as far as he can, because there's time with a second to go for a full catch, dribble, and shoot. And we knocked down the court, the pass at half court, and won the state championship.
That's cool.
That was very cool. The guy that sunk the free throws was the boyfriend of the girl I really wanted at that point too. But he was such a nice guy. So yeah. So he gets to go around in life being the one that won the state championship.
That's pretty cool. Kenny Castro. So a perfect game at Pawtucket by Nomo. Wife wanted to take the son home in the fourth inning, but we stayed. Nice. That's pretty cool. There's a funny story about I think it was the Pawtucket Red Sox there. One guy tells all the time on the radio. He was on the team, and I don't know who it was, local guy down there in Rhode Island. And the game went 17 innings. And they ended up calling the game, and they said, we'll finish it the next day. And the guy went home from the game, and his wife wouldn't let him in the house. She's just like, you've been out drinking. No, honey, the game went 17 innings. She's like, yeah, right. You ain't coming in. And I don't know how he ever got in the house, but he had to convince his wife that the game went 17 innings, and that's why he got home so late.
No, Kenny, that was not against Rice. That was against, it was Harwood, which is my school, and Lamoille, which is Stowe, the ski area. But Rice, Kenny, is a Division II team. How did you know that? That's scary, Castro. That's really scary that you would know that.
I like Rice.
So. I do too. I'm not a big fan of the high school, or I wasn't back then. Now I'm fine with it. Yeah, they're kind of like my game. We were talking about that in the open. I bet that sounds like a Lou Merlone story.
I forget which player it was, but there was a player that had that happen. So
imagine. Oh, go ahead.
Is it
Gilles Thibault?
Gilles Thibault. Son and I were at the 2013 NL Wild. Ooh, you cannot hear yourself think after the Martin homer.
Those are fun. Johnny Cueto, kaboom.
That's pretty sweet.
Imagine if you were, speaking of that, if you had tickets to the Islanders Caps game that ran into like 1:30 on Easter Sunday morning, the quad overtime one. Imagine, but honey, no, the game just ended. It's Easter. How can you do this?
Yeah, we there was another Ice Cats game we went to one time, and it was playoffs, and it was a Thursday night, but it was playoffs, so we went, and it had gone through 2 overtimes, and by this time it was getting to be 11:30. Now Thursday nights, that's the night we both have to be up real early for hockey in the morning on Friday, and it was just like, we can't stay for this. It's like, and my friend, you gotta stay. It's like, dude, you live 5 minutes away. I live an hour and 5 minutes away, and I have to be up at 5 a.m. to go to work. I can't not be there. You know what I mean? I have to be at the rink at so I got to be up at 5. So I said, I'm not going to get home to midnight and get in bed till 1. So yeah, so no, we're leaving. So we get in the car and leave right after that second overtime, and we weren't even 10 minutes on the road, and my friend called me and said, well, they come back out with a third, and the other team scored in the first minute, so we lost.
Hi, Andrew. How are you? Andrew checks in daily on my Facebook thread.
Oh, nice.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that would just suck.
But I stayed as long as I could. Then I was like, okay. I mean, if it was a championship game, I might have stuck around. But I was like, I think they were down in the series, so they had to win that plus another one. I was like, well, I stayed as long as I could.
And you never know, because it could be 30 seconds. It could be 4 hours.
Yeah. So,
what's the first Bruins? What's the first time you were at the Garden? The old one, obviously.
Okay. The first time I was at the Boston Garden was for a Boston Braves game. No joke. Yep. And I have the game programs. I have 2 game programs behind me. I know I went once. I think I might have went twice, but you couldn't get Bruins tickets when I was a kid. It just wasn't going to happen. So the Boston Braves were the American League team. And I think Terry O'Reilly played there, and Dan Bouchard, and a couple of the Bruins played that. So everyone was going to the Boston Braves in the minor leagues because no one could get Bruins tickets. So the first time I went to the Garden, I barely remember it. I think they lost 4-3 to Rochester, if something like that. But I remember they lost.
The Americans.
Yeah, but it was Boston Braves.
I've never heard of them before. Obviously Portland and Providence, but the Braves.
Andrew,
you just got that, right?
Yeah, I went into my archives and I looked up, and there it is right there. So I was going to play some today, and I did, but I looked in my my email, and I had emailed Roberto a while ago, and I bought this from him. I bought the 70-71 season. So yes, I went through it last night, and I was like, wow, this looks neat. So I'm going to try to do a video on how to play it. I was confused at the power play thing, but I think I've sorted that out because I read it 10-15 times trying to figure out the whole power play opportunity thing, because it says you go, if you got 3 power play opportunities, it says you go power play, then penalty kill, then power play. And I'm like, what do you mean, like a shorthanded goal? And then I figured it out that you roll off the opponent's penalty kill is what I think it was. So, and I asked him how he's doing. He said he was hanging in there. He's been locked down since March. So I told him, I said, if I could, I'd order some more games from him. Excuse me. I mean, I'm out of work without pay, but it's only $5 a season. So if I can help the guys out, I will. What was that? What was Kenny here? Same day Braves. Yep. The Boston Braves. Yep. And Apachata's jumping in. Howdy for a couple minutes. Yep. And you have all years. Cool. Yeah, I'm going to try to do more. Enough of me. This game here, Robbie, kill the power play. I'm going to try to do a video on this tomorrow. It plays a lot like Downey's Final Score hockey, which I really like, but there's a twist. So each team has all these ratings like you do in a lot of these Final Score games. You have offensive rating, you have defensive rating. In fact, let me read them right here real quick. Offense, defense, you have a killer instinct rating, which determines how well you play in overtime. And then it's got a couple other things here. But what's neat, so you could just go real simple. The simple game mode is offense. Compare offense and defense to get a letter, and then you roll on the chart. So, the higher the letter, the more goals you can potentially score. So it plays like a Final Score game. He has a couple of twists in here, though. He adds a third die roll. Okay, so you roll a 10-sided dice, and each team has a number. Okay, Boston has the highest number of 7. So if you roll a 7 or less on a 10-sided dice, you have a 70% chance if you follow that. You can go to this extra table, and sometimes you can add a goal. You can take away a goal from the other team, or you can bump up your offensive letter. Okay, so you get a higher letter on your offense for that game. So you have your basic way. You have the third dice factored in, and then there's also the power play penalty kill aspect of it for a third way to play, and you can combine the 2 or the 3 if you want. So how the power play works is that you have a power play rating, the other team has a penalty kill rating. You factor it out, that gives you a letter A to Z, okay, on the chart, and then you roll the dice, and that's how many power plays your team had in the game. And then you roll to see if you scored on any of those power plays, and the other team does that too. So that's pretty cool. I thought it's a little twist to a Final Score game, Ron.
And you liked it, what'd you play?
I haven't played it yet, but I
Okay.
played. I did like I had the instructions and I just kind of jotted down some notes last night. And I played the Bruins and the Rangers, and I played it basic, and the Rangers won. It was 3-3 tie, but if I played overtime, which they wouldn't in
They wouldn't have
1970,
that year, no.
but I mean I did just in case it was a playoff game, and the Rangers ended up getting the overtime goal to win. But then when I played the third dice way, the Bruins actually got the third dice roll and they tacked on some goals, so they actually won that way. And then the power play thing, I was emailing him late last night, but I think it must have been in the morning because he was getting right back to me out in Italy. And so I was trying to figure out how to do the power play and the penalty kill roll. So I'll do a video on that hopefully
And
tomorrow.
you
But
said that all the players were included too, right?
oh, jeepers, yeah, that's the other thing. So
See, I do listen to you when you talk to me offline.
yeah, so at the very end of it all, I don't know if you can see. It'll be kind of hard to see. Okay,
There
well,
you go.
okay, so you see all the players there, right? So that's the California Seals there at the very end. It lists all the players, even lists the goalies. So Gary Smith, you roll a 100-sided die or the equivalent of 100-sided dice, a random number or whatever you want, and it gives you from a 1 to 100 the numbers that you would roll to determine who was playing net. So that was kind of cool. And then
That's cool.
and then after you score, so when the game's over, each player has a rating, and you would roll to see what ratings you're looking at, and then roll again to determine who scored the goal. So it's kind of artificially tacked on goals and assists, but it's all included for $5. You get all the teams, you get all the instructions, the scoring table, and all the players, and so that's all you need. You don't need to buy the game. The game's included with the season for $5.
That's great. He's got some great deals, and he does like Olympics. If you wanted to simulate gymnastics from the Olympics, you can. I'm not sure how you do it, but you can.
Yeah, I mean, if you can play Downey's final score, this plays real similar to that. The idea being, your offense and their defense, and then I think when you meet somewhere in the middle to determine the letter. So if your offense is L and their defense is O, it's LMNO. So your offense would probably be M. So it's an adjusted offense. And then you roll and you look at the chart. So if you roll 10, you go to column M and look at 10 and it says 3 goals. So your team scored 3 goals. Then you would factor in the other parts of the game. If you wanted to play beyond the basic game, you could factor in that third dice roll. You could factor in the power play opportunities.
And that just gives it more flavor, which is exactly what you want in a quick play game.
Yeah. Yep. And so I do have Kill the Power Play. I do plan on playing it, and I'm going to probably grab a couple more seasons. It'd be kind of fun to play some playoffs of that because it is kind of a fast thing.
I'll read Ray's thing, although I really shouldn't.
All right. What do you got?
April 14th, 1995, Hartford 4, Montreal 3 in overtime. The Whale defeat Patrick Waugh at the Ball. Got the tickets for free, too. That's cool. And, it's the Whale.
Anything on the Whalers is good.
Well, I was so upset with Montreal at that point. Creepy. I know. It would be creepy to simulate gymnastics, but he's done it. I mean, could you give Nadia Comaneci anything but a 10?
That's the only gymnast I know.
You didn't even remember Mary Lou Retton. I'm surprised.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, I remember her. Yeah, I remember her.
But that's about it. That's about the 2 I remember.
Yeah.
True story. They were the scoring towers, how they post the scores. They were never set up for a perfect score. And so whenever Comaneci got her first 10 in Montreal, it went up 1.00. And they were calling, what? What is this? It's like, no, she got the 10 only at Michigan State. Yes, it is too soon. You bad boy, Steve, you bad boy. So it's true. True story is that they were never prepared for a 10. And so her score went up as a 1.00.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine a Russian judge giving anybody besides a Russian 10.
Well, she was Romanian.
Okay. Go on.
It's not like she became American, but at the time she was. But I don't know who she married. It wasn't me, but I remember her being on the Wheaties box.
Yep.
And I think she was the first woman on a Wheaties box too.
No, I thought Jenner was.
Yes, Aunt Becky. It was Jenner.
Trying to do fun things today, Ron. So I did a couple.
You've seen the meme of Cosell doing one of those Battle of the Network Stars things?
Oh,
and he's
jeepers.
got Bruce Jenner on the left and O.J. Simpson on the right, and going,
Oh,
"You will not believe the story I'm about to tell you."
yes, that is fantastic. Fantastic.
Oh dear.
Oh boy. So you got one president at work. You know, I got a friend of mine that I just talking about out in the Midwest, and he thinks he's got it. He's got all the symptoms, and he says he's just having a little trouble breathing, and the doctor's basically saying stay at home until unless you can't breathe, then come in. But most people are gonna, what they say, 99.8 people are gonna just sweat it out at home. You know. So
I also saw today that 25% of the people who get the virus are asymptomatic.
Yeah, and that's the thing about this, and
Bart
because
Connor is who you're thinking of. Bart Connor.
Have a decathlon get 35 productions.
I remember playing Daley Thompson decathlon on the computer. You could.
Well, let me see what this guy's got. So what's it? Sports replays on that, right? Oh, I wanted to just talk about my day a little bit, Ron. Okay, because this is kind of this is therapy for me as well as it is for everybody else. So this is another one of those up and down days where you get up in the morning and the news is all bad, you know. And then now, so it went from Easter, now it's going into May before the lockdown gets done. I can only hope as we get through this that we realize that, boy, people aren't, I mean, there's people that are dying. It's very sad, but people aren't dying in the hundreds of thousands like we thought. Most people are asymptomatic. Most people get through it. And I'm kind of hoping we can get some confidence with this thing and try to come out of this, sooner than later. Okay. And to know that it's going to be like the flu, that some people are going to get it and have different reactions, but I don't know. So whatever, but it's up and down.
I'm with you, Danny. I'm with you.
Yeah, I know. Don't watch the effing news. I know. I'm the same way. But you get up in the morning, you see what's going on. It's just like you shake your head. So I took the dog for a walk. I dragged him. He didn't want to go today. I think he's walked out. His feet must be burning because when I went for the second walk today, I kept him home. I said, "Nope, you're done." He's just like, "That's fine. You go without me." So I started reading that book I pulled out. I pulled out a book. I got a book at one of those. I don't know if it was a dollar store or, it's equivalent to the Salvation Army place where people just dump off their stuff and then they sell it. And they had a whole section of books and they were like $1 or $2. And so I picked up this book and I started to read it today. And it was called Icebound. And I love these action books in the Antarctic. I think I've said that before. For some reason, I like that Antarctic setting. It's just something about that. I enjoy that setting of a book. Yeah, and I've read a couple of books like that. So this one was pretty good. So I picked it up. So I'm going to start reading this today. I'm not going to play a game. I'm not going to stream. I'm not going to watch TV. I'm going to just read my book. And I picked it up, and the first couple of pages were like the reviews. People write the reviews, and it's like, New York Times and Washington Post and some places you never heard of, right? And so Hi Sports Sims and more. Thanks for coming in. And so I'm reading the reviews, and it's like fast-paced action, never lets its foot off the gas. It's Indiana Jones in Antarctica. I'm like, okay, this sounds pretty good, right? So I'm reading the first couple of pages.
I feel a broadcaster's jinx coming on here.
It was awesome.
Oh, was it?
It was fantastic. It was out in South Pole by McMurdo, which is a famous base down there. And so there's this base, and I don't know if this base is real or fictional in the book because I don't know enough about the area. But there was these divers that went down and they found a cave, and they went into this cave, and they come out of the cave, and they were never heard from again. So they sent down a whole bunch more divers to go and get them out. And one guy went in, and when he went into the cave and he come up through the water, he looked around and he saw a spaceship. And I was like, that is so cool, a spaceship. And of course, all communications got cut off. So up top, there's only 2 people left up top, and they're like sending out all these distress signals, and it gets picked up, and 2 American crafts or hovercrafts are trying to get to them because it's a blizzard, and there's some other thing going on. So the communications are messed up. So they can't get in by air. They can't get in by sea. They got to go into these hovercrafts. So they're trying to get them to find out what happened. And I was like, it got me. It was good. The first 5 minutes got me. So I was like,
okay,
yes,
I thought you were going to say that, and they go,
Nope.
How they buttered their toast in the morning or something.
I'm so excited that this book hit the ground running. And then somebody tweeted on Twitter today about Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 was remastered for $20 on the PlayStation.
Oh,
And
nice.
it's like, and I was like, I liked all those games, just the campaign part of it. And I was like, I used to play all those to oh man, I love those. So I picked it up, I downloaded it, and I'm playing it now. And where am I? I'm in the Arctic somewhere at some Russian base. I'm trying to sneak around the Russian base in the snow, and I'm like, oh
That's
man.
cool.
And I played it before, but I mean, so I tried to do fun things today. I really
That's
did.
good. I'm glad you did.
And so I'm reading a good book, and I got a new game to play, and it just took my mind off of things for a little bit. And so yeah. So what's Apple Chat I got to say? Figured out how to text to speech using the Kindle app with your phone. Oh, cool. The text to speech. I didn't use that for the longest time. But now when I use on my phone, if I could do something long, it's easy just to hit it and just say, hey, can you meet me, at the store in 10 minutes, or can you pick up milk
My
or whatever
mother
it is.
told me that. You know how embarrassing that? Not that my mother is embarrassing, but you know how it's embarrassing that my mother, who's not very technical, and me, who owns every gadget and whizzy thing, you can do text by speech, Ron.
That's funny.
It is funny. It is funny. And so the new Jade Giles song, did you hear that?
No.
Our love's in quarantine, baby.
Yeah, there's a few of those.
You don't even win the home game.
No, you don't.
Not with that.
Yes. So does anybody else have any favorite live sporting moments? We've talked a little bit here about what's going on as far as, some of the fun things that we've done or seen. So I've talked about the 5-goal comeback in the third period for the minor league hockey team, which is fun. It's the Patriots game I went to. The one and only Patriots game was one of the most memorable ones you've ever seen. You see highlights in that all the time. I went to Schaefer a couple times for the old Patriots game.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, the old Schaefer, not for concerts, but I did go to
sit on those metal bleachers.
Yeah, I was there. I was in the front row one time too, down by the end zone one time. That was pretty cool. But I think I went to 3 or 4 Patriots games that I remember. I remember the 1986 World Series when Boston beat the Angels. And I think it was
yes.
Yeah, and when the ball hit the guy's head and went over the fence, that's the game. And then they come back and won it. Yep. That's the Patriots game I was at.
5 people. Oh, I got. Go ahead.
And I had way too much to drink. I think I was like 19, 20 years old, if that. And somehow I managed to find my way back to the car, and I passed out in the back of the station wagon. And I was listening to the Red Sox game because that come on after the Patriots game. So I remember that. And I started a brand new job the next day. And I went in so hungover for this new job.
I bet you did.
And they got videos of me like passed out in the back of the car. It's sad
First
to say.
day in the job. There you go. Way to go, Gadna.
Man, but I went the next day. Luckily, one of the guys I was working with, he was kind of like the floor manager, so to speak. I actually went to high school with him. He was a year ahead of me. We didn't know each other, but I knew of him.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, I'm sorry. I went to the game and I'm so hungover. He goes, I did too. I'm so hungover too. So the guy I was working with was like totally cool with it. He's like, I was there too.
Oh, chatter. July 23rd, 96-7 at Riverfront versus the Cubs. Extra innings. Reds give up a run in the top of the 10th. I believe Brett Boone hit a 3-run walk-off homer. That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. Yep. I was at Fenway one time, and I think I told you this is how I get into sports talk radio.
Mm-hmm.
I was at a game with my dad at night, Fenway Park, and I think I don't know if we were behind the plate, but we were down low, pretty close. I think he used to
we went to Fenway, we had great seats.
He had seats behind the plate because he ended up going to game 7 of the World Series. When they lost to the Reds at game 6, Carlton Fisk, he went to game 7.
Oh, in 75?
Yeah. And somehow we got those seats behind the plate. And but I think we were sitting in those seats at another game. And I remember that Fisk was coming down the line on a suicide squeeze. And the guy, whoever was at the plate, missed the bunt. And they tagged Fisk out. And that was like toward the end of the game. So the Sox lost. And I remember getting in the car and he put on the radio and people were calling the radio station talking about the game and should they have squeezed and a whole bit. And that was my introduction to sports talk radio, because I thought that was the coolest thing. I tell that story all the time, that I was, as a kid in the 70s, in the car driving home, I was like, wow, we're talking about the game we just went to. And that was new. That was not a thing.
I was in Connecticut on vacation the day that WFAN was born. And
Oh,
so
really?
we're listening in the car, listen to them, put the country music station to bed over a static AM radio. And like, you know who the first voice was on WFAN outside of, the trailer, the preview?
No.
Susan Waldman, because she was their Yankee reporter. And
Did
she
not know
got her
that.
start. She's from Boston. True story. And Sherm Feller, you know that name. Now batting for the Boston Red Sox, number 8.
Okay. I've heard of him. Yeah.
8. He's the one, because she was a trained opera singer, or is a
Okay.
trained opera singer. And so he's the one that told her to get into broadcasting and go cover baseball. And so she did. And that's how true story. 1998 Tribe were down 11-2, something like that, versus the Angels in the 7th or 8th. A lot of fans had left, and the Tribe came back in the 8th to win 12-11. Omar Vizquel ended up playing right field. Richie Sexton hit a 3-run homer off of Troy Percival. Next batter up was David Justice, and he got hit by a pitch, and there was a bench clearing brawl. That's fun.
I was at another Red Sox game one time, and I remember Yaz come up with the bases loaded in the 9th, and he singled to right to win the game. I remember that one too. That was kind of cool. That was a fun time.
I'm chatting with you and my mother at the same time, so if you see me dipping over here, I'm fine. You can read what Ray wrote.
That's all right. So 35 says February 19, 2011, Connecticut Whale vs. Providence Bruins outside in East Hartford. Oh, okay. The
we
Whale
talked
Bowl.
about this last night, didn't he?
Yeah, alumni game. And they had all 3 Hanson brothers there. That's kind of cool.
The wind was so brutal.
We didn't have same for the AHL game. My friend's contact froze. Ooh, yeah.
That must have hurt like a mother.
Yeah. Yeah.
The one time I went to Fenway, have I told you this before? I know I've talked about it on somebody's stream. It might have been Chat with Al. We went Old Timers Day in 89.
Okay.
It was an hour and a half from where my folks lived at the Mass border. And then an hour and a half from the Mass border to Fenway Park. And so it was Yaz's first time at Fenway since he retired. He was going in the hall that year. We tried to get the lottery for Cooperstown and didn't hit it. And so it's Yaz's first time back. Bill Lee is playing left field for the Red Sox in the Old Timers game. Kurt Flood is in center field. The Red Sox, they're playing the Rangers, and they shut out the Rangers 7-0. And then after the game, we're waiting across the street to go to the souvenir shop, the large twin store that's there. I don't know if it's still there or not. And so the bus full of alumni walk out. And Lou Brock, you know that name.
Yeah.
Stops me. He's wearing a red sports coat. And he hands me a keychain. He's looking over at me. His hair is dyed. He hands me a keychain. And so this was May. It was the first Saturday in May because they posted the results of the Kentucky Derby on the scoreboard on our way out. So this is a real early technology, but he handed me a Cardinal keychain that played Take Me Out to the Ball Game.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's great. You could read Scott's story while I respond back to my mom.
All right. So what do we got for Scott here? He's 13 years old. Watched Dave Hennis hit the infamous home run in Anaheim in 86 from a hotel room in Times Square. So yeah, that's the game like I was talking about. He took a cab to Shea State and tried to get tickets for the Astros and Mets the same night and failed because his dad wasn't paying $250.
Not 1986. I'm not paying $250 for a ticket.
Yeah.
I got a story about that game, but go ahead and read Apple Chatter.
Alabama, Tennessee. Tennessee was down 27-12 with 5 minutes left. Yeah, 83-84, and came back to win 28-27. Oh, that must have been crazy. 5 minutes left, so they scored a touchdown to make it 19, a touchdown to make it 26. Maybe they went for 2 and missed it, then a field goal. So they scored 3 times in 5 minutes.
That's amazing.
Or 2 touchdowns, so 16 points. Maybe 2 touchdowns and 2-point conversions would have got them there too.
We had watched game 4 of that ALCS the night before. And my dad, who was a Reds fan, was such a good sport. He's not a baseball fan. And here's his 14-year-old son, the massive Red Sox fan. And we're about to get bitch slapped by the Angels. And so game 5, we probably watched the Patriot game, whatever the 1 o'clock game was. We turn it to whoever to watch 2 TDs and 2 cool. And so they're flashing the score on the screen. And we're making a point not to watch it. It's the only Red Sox game in that entire run I didn't watch all of. And so they're flashing it, and it's the top of the 7th. And he says, Ronnie, you got to watch the last 9 outs. Okay. We'll watch the last 9 outs. And so we turn it on. Oh, yeah. That was funny. There's some great videos of that, too. So we're watching the last innings, and he hits the home run. And I'm going to swear, okay? It's the first F-bomb I ever dropped in front of my parents. And they applauded.
Really?
And so Henderson hits the home run, and I'm going, back to Boston, you fuckers! 14 years old. And, yeah. And I'd forgotten the Angels had tied the game in the bottom of the 9th, and the Red Sox won it in the 11th. And the winning pitcher, I believe, was Steve Crawford. And here's a line that you'll love. So they ask him after the game, what are your thoughts about pitching in this historic game? And he turns to the reporter and says, if there was a bathroom on the mound, I would have used it.
I do remember going back. I remember Rick Dempsey, the Orioles, sliding around and out there, and that was funny. I don't know if I was at that or if I saw it on TV, but I think
we've all seen it on TV. If it was, I'm sure it was featured on This Week in Baseball too.
Andrew, check what do you have. And have the early leagues pre-NHL have leagues in 1887. Yeah, I was looking here what they got. I'm going to pick up the World Hockey Association. They have all the years, 72 to 79. Right up your alley too. It's $6. I think it's $6 for all of them. So I'll pick that up. They have the early, 1887. Wow, that's early leagues of hockey. Then they have the NHL. For $8, you can get 1917 to 1942. For $8, you can get 42 to 67.
So that's 6 years.
Original 6. And then after that, he's got 67 to 72. 72, 73 is where it ends off, and those are $5 each. So they're pretty early hockey. You can't get anything new with that, but they do have Men's World Championship Hockey, 1931 to 2013. That's pretty good.
And all the Olympics too.
Yeah, and
there was Vancouver, I think, was the best Olympic tournament. That's the one where Sidney Crosby never had to pay for anything in Canada again after beating us in overtime.
He's got early Olympic ice hockey, 1920 to 1936. For $5, Olympic ice hockey from 48 to 2010. I think it'd be kind of fun to grab some of those Olympic ice hockey things and play some of those tournaments.
The 60 tournament, which was the original Miracle on Ice up over in Squaw Valley, never has gotten the attention.
Yeah. That's so $6. Maybe I would grab that and play that. That would be kind of fun.
Gilles has got a good one too.
Yeah, let's go check up that one. Yeah, I just kind of check and feel the power play. So what do you got wrong with that one?
Nothing wrong with that one. I love Bo.
No, I said what do we have? Because
I was also at the Bo Jackson 3-homer game at Yankee Stadium in 1990. Neon Dion hit an inside the Parker. That was exciting.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
September 1991, Chatter was when the Braves beat the Astros to clinch a tie. 3 friends and I were at the game, made the front page of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. That's awesome. The people behind us were in full Indian headdress, so more like we were in their pick, but still front row. And Dave Little watched with my father and 2 older sons when Ohio State beat Miami for the national title in 2003. Great family memory. There was a pass interference. Was that in regulation or overtime? Dave would know. Dave Little would know. On Miami, which allowed Ohio State to either to score or whatever. And the guy that committed the penalty, and it clearly was a penalty. I'm not trying to give Dave crap about this because I'm a Michigan guy and Dave is in that school. Was part of a message board that I belonged to. And we just felt so bad for him. He was a good kid. And to have the interference was in the first OT. Okay. And so that's how everyone else remembers him. He was the guy that allowed Ohio State to score in the first overtime. But no, that's a great memory. That's a good one.
I'm trying to see if I can share my. There we go. So I can show what's going on with it. Let me hide this. Let me go screen share, application window. So let's see if we can see this at all, and I'll try to
I like the
maximize
college stuff too.
that. Okay, so let me see if I can. Is that any better on the screen?
Take the banner down.
Okay. Hide that. Okay. See if I can blow that up a little bit in the view. Zoom. Where we go? 133. How about that?
There we go.
Okay. So this is what he's got. If you guys can see that, I can't really see if when I'm scrolling here. So as long
You're
as you
fine.
guys,
You got
okay. So he's got the WHA 72 to 79. It's like it's $6 for everything. I'm gonna get that for sure. And then he's got the early leads, 1887 to 1926, and these are games before NHL. Contains rulebook and data for replaying almost all seasons from the following early leagues of the Canadian American hockey. More than 50 seasons and 350 teams for $6. Then you got the NHL early years from 17 to 42. Then you get the original 6, like we talked about. Men World Championship Ice Hockey.
everything. 31 to 13.
Yep. So that's the World Tour. So that's not the Olympics. That's just championship. Then you scroll down here, and his so we got the Spengler Cup too. If you want to play Spengler Cup, which is
Haven't
early
even
stuff.
heard of that.
I haven't either. The Women's World Championship too, 90 to 99. And then here's the $5 each for the yearbooks here. You can see it's all the early stuff right here at 67 to 73. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years there. I have 71.
The
70.
Olympic things, I think, in their own category, right?
Yeah. So if I scroll down here, you get college hockey. And then you get free with any set. So he has college hockey from 01 to 2018, $1 each. Tournament compilation. He's got some older tournaments here. Men's European Championship Cup, some early ones in the 60s and right through to 69. Olympic ice hockey. Here we go. 1948 to 2010, $6. I think I'm going to get this one. 1948 to 2010, so I can play the 61.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of fun to play some with just like maybe start at 48 and just maybe have some sort of a round robin tournament. See who comes up. And
So
that would be kind of fun to see. I don't even know who play ice hockey in 48, but it'd be kind of. That was right after the war.
Canada's last gold was 52, and then the Russians just dominated forever.
And then he's got early Olympic ice hockey covering 20 to 36. The first was a Summer Games edition.
Yes, it was. The first was a summer Olympic event.
How would you play ice hockey in the summer in 1920?
Outdoors, very carefully.
In the summer, I don't know. They'd have to find a place in the summer. And he's got some Olympic field hockey, World
I
Cup.
wanted to say it was Paris, Dave.
I don't know how you play ice hockey in Paris in the summer, but who knows? And then roller hockey, $5. You get 1936, 1954 Men World Cup roller hockey.
Because you were playing it in Belgium. The 1920 Summer Olympics were played in Antwerp, Belgium. There were 2,626 athletes, and 65 of those were women. They also took a month to play, so it was late August to mid-September.
So maybe September they had the ice. Maybe.
Well, look.
So yeah, you can play the Vancouver Millionaires if you wanted to. 1919 Cup was never awarded due to a flu epidemic.
Right.
It's 100 years later. Guess what happens, right? And yeah, Olympic hockey. So yeah, I'm gonna go and order some. I'm gonna try to help the guy out. He's in Italy right now, so any little bit would help him. And hopefully, I won't be in that position in a month from now.
Because they were played in April.
So the Summer Olympics in April. I see.
Yeah, ice hockey was introduced to the Olympic Games in there wasn't a Winter Olympics in 1920. That's why. Tournament also served as the first World Championships. The matches were played between April 23rd and April 29th. They were in Antwerp, so they were in Belgium. Canada, represented by the Winnipeg Falcons, won the gold medal. The silver went to the States, and Czechoslovakia took the bronze. All the matches took place in Palais de Glace de Anvers, Ice Palace of Antwerp. The rink was smaller than North American standards, measuring 56 meters long by 18 meters wide, 184 by 59. All games were played with 7 players aside, with the rover position being used. The duration of each game was 2 periods of 20 minutes each. If any game had been tied after 40, an additional 2 periods of 5 minutes each would have been added. And this process of adding 2 periods of 5 minutes would have continued until if the score were still tied at the end of any 10-minute addendum. This was the first ice hockey tournament at the Olympics, and the only instance of it being at the Summer Olympics. An ice hockey tournament was part of the inaugural Winter Olympics in 1924 and has been part of every winter program since then. 7 nations, by the way, played.
Just
That
in
is
case.
really cool. I might have to go check that out.
Belgium, obviously, because they're the home team. Canada, the Czechs, France, Sweden, Switzerland, and the States. And so in the gold medal round, Canada beat the Czechs 15-0. The U.S. beat the Swiss 29-0. And the Swedes beat the Belgians 8-0. In the semis, Canada beat the States 2-0. Sweden dumped France 4-0. And in the first gold medal game, Canada 12, Sweden 1.
Ooh, what year was that?
1920.
Okay, I'm gonna have to get that one. I'm gonna
The
have to get that.
U.S. Beat the Czechs for the silver medal 16-0.
U.S.
the
beat the Czechs 16-0.
16-0. And the bronze, poor Sweden had to play in all these semifinal games. And the bronze, the Czechs beat the Swedes 1-0 to get the bronze.
Wow. And no, I don't think he's kidding.
Right.
So yeah, wow, Ron. See that's why you're here. You do this stuff. Nice job, Ron.
So imagine that 29-0. Imagine being on the pasting end of that's like, because as PJet says, because 28 wasn't enough. That's like what Japan going to Lake Placid and qualifying for that Olympic tournament, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's stories. If you go back and read some of the old hockey stories, there was a story about a team that traveled like 3 days by train to go to either Toronto or Montreal to play a playoff series or a playoff game, and they got destroyed like 29-2. And then they had to take a three-day train ride back. So
Oof.
yeah.
Robbie, not then, because they did it as part of a tournament thing. So they put all the teams in for the gold medal round, and if you lost, then you would play a semifinal for the silver, and then for the silver medal, they just kind of dragged it out. Remember, they were only 40-minute games too, and I can't imagine there was a lot of hard hitting in the game in 1920.
No, you probably barely skating there. Now he's got some. If I come over here for a sec, he's got some football games too.
I haven't looked at those.
Well, we're gonna look at them right now.
The skiing one I'm interested in.
So let me zoom into 133 again. How about that? Okay, so can you see that there, Ron?
Well, let's get us off the screen first.
All right. How about that?
That's better.
All right. So he's got some games here. So he's got From Mud to Glory at American Football, and
$10 a decade is awesome.
yeah, $10 for a decade. So to get a result, you compare the level of attack against the level of defense, and you check running and TD and kicking and the whole bit. And he's got the third die modifier. He loves that third die that I was talking about in the hockey game. He loves that third die.
Some variety.
Yeah, it does. So he's got some NFL yearbooks here. So he's got some newer stuff too, which is kind of good. So he's got the $10 for all the decades here, but then it's $5 for individual seasons for some of the newer stuff, which is kind of good. Let me see. He's got USFL, CFL, IFAF, whatever that is. He's got another game. So what was that one there? That was Mud to Glory, American Football. Then he's got Any Unforgiving Sunday Football, and that's a drive-by-drive. And each game is complete with rules, and the yearbooks sell for $8. I might pick up 78. That would be a good one. So that's a drive-by-drive one, and he has a little example about how to play, the drive-by-drive game there. And it looks like he's got another one here. When it really counts, playoff football. His third attempt at a football game, and it's a fast resolution game that consents to complete a match in just a handful of dice rolls. And then it's playoff football.
So it's only the playoff teams.
Yeah, well, his previous games cover the regular NFL season. This looks like it's for playoffs only. So he's got the 70s playoff data book and the whole bit. So yeah, and then he's got
Not bad.
games for college football.
Oh, looky there. And the
So,
IFAF.
1883. Imagine playing 1883 football.
That's Princeton versus Rutgers. That's all it is, right?
Yeah, 2 teams. Yep. $1. $1 you can play 1883 football. And now it's a run up the middle. Now it's a run to the left. And now it's a run to the right.
So
And-
now we talked about Vermont high school football. I love Kenny Castro from Mud to Gloria back to Mud, my life story.
Yeah, so he's got a handful of football games here too. That looks like it's pretty fun. So
Yeah, I'm looking at the skiing one and some of the motorsports one, the Formula One stuff, because that's not something you'd want to do lap by lap by lap.
right. Well, if I'm looking here, he's got American football games, he's got athletic swimming games, college sports games, baseball games, basketball games.
He's got everything.
Cycling games, various other games, Australian Gaelic, etc. Golf games. Ooh, I should check out the golf games.
There was some obviously quick play, and you can do Australian rules football.
So let's see what he's got for golf. He's got Heroes of the Majors golf. He's got available sets from 1934 to 1997. I think it's $5 for the game, $2 for a season. The game is playable round by round, 18 holes for each round, or hole by hole, and each golfer is so rated. Oh, that one could be pretty good too. I like playing hole by hole golf. So he's got Heroes of the Majors. That looks pretty good.
No, there's no free PDFs there, Robbie.
Yeah, no, you gotta. But they're cheap. They're a few bucks.
They are dirt cheap.
Yeah. World of Golf is it's 1970 to 74. He's got Ryder Cup golf as well. Boy, I might have to get some.
Talk to you in the morning, buddy.
I might have to do this Heroes of the Majors. That looks pretty good too. So yeah, so he's got all kinds of games here. They're some are quick play and the whole bit. So yeah, thanks for stopping by. And the whole bit. So yeah, what else have you guys done here? As we're talking about some of our favorite live sporting moments, things that you've gone to or seen. You remember that clip, Ron, of it's Bobby Orr, and he gets the puck in his own zone, and he comes down the right wing, and he goes around the net against the Atlanta Flames, and like he's got 2 defensemen on him, and the goalie drops down, and he goes around the net, and he backhands it in for the goal. If you remember that clip of Bobby Orr, I saw that live, not at the Garden. Didn't see it at the Garden, but I remember where I was. It was right here in town, and we went to somebody's relative's house, and I think it was a Saturday or Sunday night, and we were outside, and he had a little TV outside in the shed, probably where the rabbit ears, and I remember, at least I think I remember seeing that live as a kid, and I was like, wow, that was a pretty good goal by Bobby Orr, and that's one of his most famous ones that he's ever seen.
Robbie, if you go to the page on sportsreplays.net, you can download their
listing. Yeah.
Good morning, David. How are you?
So he's got the motorsports games. That would be kind of fun too. I'm gonna check out the golf for sure. Classic Formula One. He's got a fast resolution racing game that features a basic set with rulebook, plain sheet, and 1950 yearbook and single yearbooks from 51 to 2018. So he's got the classic Formula One. He's got classic NASCAR racing. So let me see. He's got 1950 to 2018 for the NASCAR. Other racing series as well. He's got Formula 3000, Can-Am. He's got a whole bunch of racing games here.
Yeah. Just a clever guy.
I don't really know much about racing.
The gymnastics game, I think it's just Olympics. So if you go to the sportsreplays.net, if you look in the Olympics, you can find that.
I'm really interested in the that golf game. I think that would be pretty good.
Take a look to see. I'll give him some money, not a problem.
Yeah. So that's at sportsreplays.net. In fact, if you want, I'll share that right here real quick, Ron. Yep. Hang on one second here. So let me hide this, and let me go to my banners here and hide this. So I will share my Chrome tab for Sports Replays.
Gilles, Steve's gone, but I'll read it. Hey, Steve, he's talking about Appa Chatter. They showed your pickup on the screen, and I turned to my daughter and said, "That's my Atlanta breakfast, buddy. We'll miss the best weekend of the year." Oh,
that's cool. So here's the replay this is where I am right now, looking at this site here. And if you click over here on Roberto Shivani's games, it brings you to this page. And if you scroll down the right, you got to download the catalog. It's just a Word doc. So I downloaded the American football games over here. I downloaded the golf and the hockey and the motorsport, and it just gives you a list. So it brings up that list that we showed right over here on sportsreplays.net, and he's got his own page. It's pretty much. And you just send him an email. Let me see if I scroll down here. There's a way to contact him. Was there a way?
Top. You missed
top?
it. Way up top.
Okay, so here's his email here. Okay, contact on his email link, poonmay@gmail.com, and he'll get right back to you on that. And I just sent him, it's over PayPal, and so you can zip him over and he'll get it right back to you. And so yeah, so that
favorite sporting moment in person would be the 86 Football Association Cup final at Wembley between Liverpool and Everton, the first all Merseyside Cup final. And look, I have a visitor. What's your favorite sporting event? Yes, I understand how this works.
The Puppy Bowl, of course.
The Puppy Bowl. Did you hear how he insulted you? She does this. I can't show you because I can't move the camera, but Emily is doing her best Ed Sullivan right now. She is just off camera. You cannot see her, but she's staring right at me and upset that I'm on camera.
Oh, that's too bad. But yeah, I'm gonna get a few more of the Roberto games. Those are really fun, and just for a few bucks, I'm gonna get one of the golf ones and check that out and see how that goes. I like the hole by hole feature. That looks kind of fun.
Yeah.
Because I tried the digging deep, and that was like we talked about that last time. That was so close. Digging deep was so close to being.
It was close.
Being a good game.
Oh, thank you for not walking all over the keyboard, Emily.
And so I'm trying to think if I had any other really fun moments here, Ron, as we have.
Well, what about when you played? You talked a little bit about the two games that you were good in the goal for the Falcons.
Yep, I played a couple of games in high school. None were very memorable that I can remember. I was new and I wasn't that good at it, but I did score a couple of fun goals in my adult career, if you would. Nothing too crazy.
You scored the game winner in overtime for your last championship.
I did. The last complete season that we played, I backhanded the rebound in to win the championship in overtime. That was kind of fun. But I'm trying to think, if I think back on any of the other moments there, I don't remember.
Emily, she wants to be famous. What makes you think I'm famous? I'm not famous at all. No one asked me for an autograph. My wife still says, "When do you want for breakfast?" That's not fame.
So Ray's going to join us. He's got a new camera set up here. So now let's go to Ray with the traffic. Ray with the traffic.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah. So that's the camera.
Traffic? What's the BZ traffic look like?
How's the glare? That's what I'm worried about right now. Is that
all right?
I got to wax it a little bit, maybe put a little polish.
Scott contract where you got to wear the tube in the studio, right?
Yeah. Well, I heard Dave talking about his playing career. That was coming up, so I had to dive back in because I had to hear this.
P-Jet will take my autograph on a check. Oh, you're writing me a check?
Yeah.
Send me a check. I'll endorse it and sign it for you.
There you go.
I take monies. That looks better.
Yeah, I think this a good temporary fix. It's very high right now. It's way up above. I'm looking at the lens now. You can see how far up it is over the top of the screen. But
that's what I have to do too. If I look at you guys on the screen, it looks like I'm looking below the camera. When I tilt up, I can see the camera, but not you guys. So we're all in that.
My computer is so I can be level.
Right.
That's true. So Dave, I think I've told you this story. I'm on the Sarah and I are coming home from breakfast one morning, and there's the bus station is across the street. And so we're walking home, and all of a sudden I hear my name called out. Like, uh-oh, who is this? And, usually I can tell, because of the wheel.
Go ahead. We're on the edge of our seats here.
I got a noun and a pronoun for you.
Look away from the screen and keep talking.
It's
I
all
hear my
right.
name called,
Yep.
which is not unusual because people recognize the chair. But I heard my last name called, and that's pretty rare if I hear my last name called out. And so, guys are insufferable.
Don't encourage me. I'll say it.
And so, Ron Juckett, and he bolts across the street in front of traffic. And he's an older person, and I'm trying to go, okay, where do I know you from? I don't recognize him. He comes up, he gives me a hug. It was very nice, but I don't know who the hell he is. And he realizes that I'm kind of recoiling in horror. My wife is going, who the hell just gave you a hug? I don't know. I'm Kenny Castro. It's nice to meet you. There. Was that insufferably long or no?
No, that was just the right amount. I think the audience was tailing off, right? But I think we kept them. I think we did a good job of that.
Go ahead. Tell me about another time you fell asleep at a Worcester Ice Cats game.
Oh man, there were many.
That's the story.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That's it, huh?
I'm trying to think if there's any other fun Bruins games we went to. Can't think of any.
Did you ever go to a playoff game?
I did. I had someone take me to the I want to say it was 88 because they went in 88, then they went in 90. And they put it was the Eastern Conference Finals against Washington. I think that was the first one. I think that was 88. It was either 88 or 90. I don't remember which one it was. But when they played Washington before they went on to play Edmonton, it was game 2 at home. And I was probably 15, 20 rows from the ice, and they beat them 4-0. They beat Washington 4-0 that night. That was pretty cool. Playoff game, Boston Garden. Yep, that was fun. Never really cared for the Fleet Center. Been there a few times.
You said the last time you went, the seats weren't good.
I sat in somebody's seats one time, and I don't know if I got them for the game or if sometimes you go to these things and there's not a lot of people. So, hey, come on down and sit with us. And I sat there, and I was you could see this net good, but when you turned the curve, you could only see a little bit down the other end. I don't even know if you could see the other end clear because of the curve of the glass. I was like, wow, these are probably the worst seats in a hockey rink just because of the curve of the glass.
I've been to the TD once, and the seats were good, but the one thing that my takeaway from it was no bathrooms. It was like very hard to find a bathroom, and like the lines were like out the door, and very, I think like 3 stalls in each bathroom. It was
small. Huh?
Yeah, and then you miss a lot of game there. You try to go during the intermission or just before or just after, and you're missing a lot of games standing in line. So I wasn't impressed by that, but.
My dad talked about peeing into a trough at Fenway.
Oh yeah, I did that. There's so funny story about that. So when I was a kid, you go to Fenway and you pee in the trough, right? I went to that outdoor concert place. I was telling you, the old Great Woods. I think it's called Comcast or Verizon Arena. Now it's the outdoor place in Mansfield, Massachusetts. And I go into the bathroom, and no joke, you walk in and they had this round little fountain thing with water squirting out, right? I thought it was a trough where you took a pee. Because I had gone to Fenway Park, and I had gone to, I don't know if Schaefer Stadium have it, but Fenway Park was troughs that you peed in. And so I went to go pee, and I was like, why is there nobody else peeing into this thing? And I look, and everyone's peeing in the bathroom, and somebody went over and started washing their hands in the water that was squirting. I was like, oh, wow, good thing I didn't.
Oh, boy.
You know what I mean?
Boy.
It's like, I don't want to, it's like, I was, it was perfectly straight. I wasn't drunk or anything. It's just, I was used to pissing in a trough.
Yeah.
And I almost did, but luckily I didn't.
That's great.
So,
yeah.
Isles beat the Seals 8-1 and 10-1. Oh man, that is so sad.
I read the second part of that, yeah.
Second game, I left at 7-1, sat outside in the park, and I slept against the lamppost of the game. Although I can picture you sitting there against the lamppost, head down, light shining down, rainy night. I can picture it. So yeah, anytime the Seals lost, it was a sad night. Dave Little. Wow, are we gonna start talking about who we shared peas with now?
Yeah, the show's gone from favorite sports live moments to pee trough stories. Yeah, that's off the rails.
Usually, we try.
Right off the rails, not off the rails, down the ditch and on fire.
All right. So our favorite.
Yeah, there you go. What's your favorite? Yeah.
Who have you peed with?
Wouldn't you like to know?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I remember we were at the Central one time, and I think it was a concert. I think it was Ozzy or something like that, or Maiden. And there was only like 2 urinals in this. So we're in line. There's 2 lines, and there was myself and my brother. My brother's a funny bastard. And so I'm in one line. He's in the next line. His line's like going. Mine wasn't going anywhere. Right? I was like, man, why is my line not moving? And so I look over at my brother, and I go, what's that? 6 items or less? What is that, the express line? And he goes, 6 inches or less, right? And this dude in front of him in a leather jacket, a kid is like 5 feet tall, leather jacket, mustache. He's like, yeah, 6 inches from the floor. And me and my brother just went, dude, really? Oh, wait a my friends, how bad was it? I don't think I've ever seen the Seals live. That's one thing I did, because you couldn't get tickets in Boston, and they were gone long before you could get tickets to a Bruins game.
Oh, those tickets were gone.
But I don't know if I saw the Barons at all. I don't think I did see the Barons. What does Andrew got to say? In 1974, I was listening to Ali versus Foreman on the radio when Ali knocked out Foreman. I let out a big scream. My dad came running and didn't believe me till the next day. Is that Down Goes Foreman?
No, that's Frazier. Down goes Frazier.
Yeah.
Down goes Frazier.
Oh,
I lost my first 2 teeth the night that Muhammad Ali beat Leon Spinks. I won't bore you with the story. It's a good one, but I won't bore you with it.
There it is again. You take a lot of abuse here, Ron. That's for sure.
Could you come on with me again tonight, please? Please.
I keep telling him, I says, I let me get someone else. I said, no, I need to be on. I need to be on for my fans. He keeps talking about his fans.
Yes, because I'm a double Z list celebrity on YouTube.
Oh, do you know what I saw on? I'm on tons of hockey groups on Facebook, and somebody posted a picture today of Phil Esposito in the New York Rangers jersey, playing the Seals, and he had number 5.
Really?
And the caption said, "Now I don't know if it's true or not, but he says when the trade was made, the Rangers were on a West Coast road trip, and so the first game that Esposito played for the Rangers was against the Seals, and he had number 5 on, and when they finally came back home, he wore number 12." For the season. So
yeah, I'm sure their capabilities weren't what they are today, where they can just sew any jersey. Yeah.
I know he went to 77 at some point, so I'm not sure when that was.
Speaking of sewing things on, you put up that long story saying you are dead meat tomorrow. The emergency goalie. There's one of the clips. I don't know if it was the Hockey Night in Canada feed or the Carolina. It might have been the Carolina feed. They actually showed, while they were trying to get him all padded up, them sewing the letters and numbers on the jersey.
I saw that. Yeah, on the fly. Yep.
Yeah, which was cool. That they just had them in a bag that you could just pull out those letters.
Yeah, and to think that they can do that stuff not only at home but now on the road.
Right.
To have all that stuff brought with them. Yeah.
And there was something else too on one of the Bruins. I don't know if it was 8 before Cam Neely or if it was 7 before Bork took it from Esposito, but somebody wore it for a handful of games, either 8 or 7 for the Bruins. And then they changed it up, and it was somebody, it wasn't anybody that I would remember, but I remember them saying that, the trivia question, who wore number 8 or number 7 before Bork and Neely? I forget if it was 8 or 7. And somebody actually wore it for a couple of games, and then they gave him a different number. I want to say it was like John Carter or something like that. But there was somebody that wore that number just for a couple of games. And Bob Champo was the goalie in that 10-1 game. Yep. Oh, here's this right here. So PJ, I don't know if you were here talking about. We were talking about this game that I have. Kill the Power Play Hockey from Roberto Schiavone. We've been talking about some of his games tonight. He's over in Italy, locked down. So I'm kind of putting a plug for him tonight to see if people can order a couple of games from him. They're really cheap. Some of the seasons are $5 in the whole bit. But So I picked up 70-71, and it does come with some of the seals. Okay, because he does. What's kind of cool is he gives you all the teams. Okay, and so all the teams are listed here, and it does have the seals. And I don't know if you can see the seals goalies or not. I'm not doing a very good job of this, but those are the seals goalies. If you recognize the seals, so Gary Smith, Chris Worthy, and Bob Snedden were the 3 goalies in 70-71 for the seals that you can play in this game. And I like Ron. I like this about some of these games. You roll the dice to determine the starting goalie. You can pick the starting goalie, or you can roll the dice, and obviously higher percentage goes to the goalie that played the most. But you have the option of doing that just in case you want to have a real, random set of goalie. I like the shootout does that too. I love that.
So to answer trivia questions here, which is why I can look at the camera, but I'm not seeing you giving me the finger. Pitt Martin wore number 7 before Phil Esposito. A number of other players. Vic Stasiuk wore it for 5 years. But between Espo and Bork, 2 players wore it. You'll never get them. Sean Shanahan in 1978. And Bill Bennett in 1979. Now, a number of players wore 8. Kenny Hodge wore it between 68 and 76. Peter McNabb wore it between 77 and 84. But the last 2 to wear it before Cam Neely, John Carter.
I said John Carter, right? Yeah, I did say,
But he wasn't the last one to wear it. There's someone else who actually played with Neely but didn't wear number 8. Lyndon Byers.
Byers? Yeah, he was 34. I didn't know that.
Not a real surprise with the low numbers, though. Those were.
Yeah, Lyndon Byers, 88 to 92.
David, I think that back in the day, it was 1 to 20 or 1 to 25 on numbers, and the goalie was 1, and the other goalie was 30. That's how they did it for years and years and years. And then eventually, as they retired numbers and added more guys, they did the 20s, and then they had nowhere to go but there. And I can't stand when I see a guy wearing like 65 or 75. That is so not a hockey number. It's really not. But I mean, at this point here, they've, in theory, here's a theory I have, guys. Hang on. There's a theory.
Okay. There's 2, by the way, Rangers that.
Okay. There's a theory I have. Oh, sorry. Go on, Ron. Go ahead.
There's 2 Rangers that wore 5 in 76. Larry Sakarchuk and Phil Esposito.
Okay. So my theory is that at some point, if we can ever play hockey again, right, that a team like, well, I was going to say the Canadians, but they haven't retired a number in quite some time, but a team could theoretically retire 1 through 99.
Retired numbers of anybody in hockey.
But in theory, at some point, and it's not going to happen in my lifetime, but at some point, a team could end up retiring numbers 1 to 99, and at some point, there would be so many retired numbers they would have to play a 3-digit number. Or what would they do? Like 15A?
And now A passes to C.
Yeah, but what would you do? What would you do in 200 years from now if there's a team that had so many retired numbers that in order to field the team, they would have there wasn't enough numbers between 1 and 99 because 99 they can't use. So they'd have to figure out, if team retired 70 numbers, let's say.
That would be impressive. The Yankees don't have a single digit left. 1 through 9 are gone.
I don't think the Bruins do either. But I think 6 is the only one the Bruins got, and that's a curse number. So, see, the goalies were 131. Yeah, and someone outside the Esposito was 35. I remember that.
Dryden was 29.
Yep. So there was a couple. Milosh was 27. So yeah, so they were up the high numbers. Oh, he brought that up. Yeah, Milosh 27, Tony Esposito 35.
Kenny Castro got that answer right, by the way. Is that unless he was looking it up in Hockey Reference with me?
It's hard to say.
Wow,
nice job by Kenny Castro, the hockey guru here. But we had some guy. We have some guys in the hockey league that I keep score on, right? Ice hockey league, and this one team, they got a guy that wears 1. And a guy that wears 30 or 31 skating out. And I'm like, no, those are goalie numbers. And I think they even have it like all the goalie numbers, like 1, 30, 31, and 35 are all skaters. And it drives me nuts when I see that. It's like, those are goalie numbers.
That's right.
Those are not skater numbers. You do not put them on a skater. The only time I played JV hockey, I was a goalie for JV before I played the the couple games on the varsity team. And the last JV game, I asked to skate out, and they let me skate out, but I had to wear my number 30. So I was number 30 playing center on the fourth line. It was kind of funny. Scored 2 goals.
Wow.
Scored 2 goals at one shift. Imagine that. I played
Wow.
one game at JV. I scored 2 goals at one shift. You think the coach would put me back in? No, he goes, "You're my hottest player. Sit down." It's like, dude, I'm on fire.
When
I'm on
I
fire,
was-
kid.
when I was in high school for the basketball, you couldn't wear a number above 5. So you could be 1 through 5, 11 through 15, because when the refs called the foul, that's how they told the bench who the foul was on, because they would do it with one hand. So if you got, a 3 and a 5, the foul was on 35. I'm sure that's not the case anymore, but that was I was in high school a long time ago.
Well, Dave, going back to your point about players wearing goalie numbers, how about goalies wearing player numbers, where you see a goalie wearing like 2?
That is
Yeah.
worse.
Yeah.
I mean, any double digit will work 40, 50.
Yeah.
I think Tebow was what, 61?
Yeah, I'm thinking like it wasn't like Darren Pupa like 70 something, and then you've had these goalies that have worn these really high numbers and whatnot. But when you see
He wore 83. Well, we know what year he was born in, don't we?
so
I mean, as long as a higher number is fine. It's just when they wear a traditional hockey number, something between 2 and 26. It just it hurts. It takes a little bit of my life force away when I see a goalie wear a number. We got a goalie that wears like number 6 or something on the ice hockey league. I'm like, no.
yeah,
No,
We rarely see a forward wear a single digit number too, because those are considered defenseman numbers.
nowadays, yeah. But yeah, sometimes you see these goalies like Tebow was what, 40, and I mean, that's fine. It's just what was the Tampa Bay goal? Was it 83? The guy that
maybe I was thinking of 93 or something like that. Wasn't that? Maybe I'm thinking of Pupa wearing 93. I'm not sure, but I know it was like an off number.
Yeah, I imagine the Europe leagues are probably pretty crazy like that.
No, that's because they got to wear smaller numbers to fit all the advertisements on the jerseys over in Europe too.
Oh, man, did you ever see that one picture of the? I think it was in the Hockey News years ago, and it was the picture of the European ice, and it just looked like a quilt or a blanket full of ads, and I don't even know how you could see the puck. There were so many ads on the boards. It was just. It was gross.
Pupa wore 93 for Tampa.
Okay, that's what it was. Yeah.
Got Ron fact checking us here, making sure we're on the right page here.
I gotta hold my value somehow, right?
There you go. You're doing well.
Or else I got the. Is this another long story, Ron? Graphic.
Okay. Here's. Oh yeah. Okay. Here's a good.
Flinner. Flinner's got a good one for you.
All right, hang on a sec. Oh my gosh. Oh, this is Fort Wayne. This is nuts. Let me see if I can share this with you guys. Hang on a sec. Let me share my screen, my Chrome tab. All right. Let's see if we can you guys see that?
Yeah, we can. Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
All right. So I can't get that really any bigger.
That's okay.
But you see that? I mean, that hurts my eyes.
But nothing on the boards.
Yeah, nothing on the boards, and I don't know if that's actual or not.
Photoshopped or something. But yeah, it's a lot. That's just.
But the European rinks are like that. It's not that far off the beaten path.
He just went by a European player. You could see it. It's all over. It's
the jerseys. The jerseys I don't
tan.
mind so much, but the rink.
Yeah.
It's like watching the NASCAR thing,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any other pictures here. But that rink that I have on the screen right now, that is really that's tough to watch. And that's the comment.
Oh, that's for real. That's for real though.
Oh, that's a kid's one. That's not one they play on. But that's Fort Wayne. That's actual rink here. There's a Swiss League. That's not bad. That is not bad. Even this here, this is
that's bad.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Yeah. I don't like that at all. Oh, here's another one. See, that's
horrible.
It's like, how can you play and watch that on TV?
If you were watching it on television, how could you see the puck?
That's what I was saying. As I would get dizzy watching that. I really would. That is just so overkill. And I understand, you need ads, but I couldn't watch if the Bruins played on that rink. I couldn't watch that. There's no way I could watch a game like this. No.
Yeah,
and what I mean, and what next? Are they going to start putting what about football fields? What if they did that to football? If they put, I mean, I know the TV kind of does it.
CFL game. There are ads, not that bad, but there are ads all over the field in a CFL game.
Yeah, it does. It looks like graffiti. It's like, oh, it's terrible. Oh, so what do we got? Flinner.
Yeah, let's go to that one. Yeah,
1996 opening game Canada reviews to Open Core State Center. Okay, cool.
The new Spectrum, yeah.
And they still got the Spectrum across the street, I heard.
Who won that? Who won that first game? I'm wondering who won that first game in the '96 World Cup. Because I know it went to, I believe, 3 games, and I've seen the third one a multitude of times.
It was David. That was Lyndon Byers from the Bruins back in the '80s and early '90s. Lyndon Byers. Sheffield Arena. Let's see if I can call that up. So, Sheffield Arena. No good. Oh wait, is this it right here? Yeah, that might be. Let me see if I can share that screen a little bit. This one's a little tougher to see. I don't know if I can get a better picture of that rink.
And I won't let that pass by with Flynn. What Flynn said, that would have been a great game. Canada won that 4-3 in overtime.
Oh wow, that would have welcome to the stadium. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And Kenny's right. Different structure. Most Euro sports is based on the clubs. That's not terrible.
It's still not.
It's busy.
It's busy, but it's.
I don't like
watchable.
Black, so you can at least see the puck.
Yeah,
that's
but
watchable.
Those ads in the slot are terrible. If there's a good visual point, and you got advertisements on the rink. That's the circles. That's one thing, but when you put the ads in the slot,
no, you're right.
That's just, I look for every excuse anyway. So if I gave up a goal, I'd be blaming it on the ads in the slot.
It is. It's distracting.
Yeah,
it really is. And when they put ads on the Green Monster, I was like, at least it's somewhat. My OCD doesn't go that crazy.
They've done a decent job with the ads on the Monster.
Yeah, and if they were to take them away, it would look weird now. It's just kind of look part of it, but
I never liked the seats on the Monster, though. I just got used to growing up with that just being the fence.
It is weird seeing the seats up there. It really is.
And I liked when the Coke bottles were on the light towers. Those were cool, too.
Oh, jeepers. Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, they've done, there's a ton of ads at Fenway, but at least on the Monster, they're well done.
Oh, and last night's video, we got a comment from Big Clue.
Big Clue.
He said we talked about the Danvers Mental Institute. Mm-hmm. Then we were talking about Fallout 4, and how we were talking about it came up here to my area, and the famous Danvers Mental Institute, was it Danvers State Hospital? Danvers State Hospital. Okay, I grew up not too far from there. He said that was the inspiration for Batman: Arkham Asylum.
Interesting
video game. I didn't know that. So yeah, I would think that was the inspiration for a lot of things, because it's a very gothic looking building. It's all apartments now, but you won't catch me going up there. But
oh goodness gracious, they sleep well.
My grandmother worked up there. She worked in a different part, and as kids we would go up to see her, and she took us in there a few times, and it was just like, no, I can't be here. I just can't be here.
That would be creepy.
They made a movie on that called Session 9. Session 9 was filmed right in there. Yeah. And it was a story. It wasn't so much about the place, but it was a kind of a ghost story involving the people, but it was filmed in there. And I think that's the only time they were allowed to go in there and film. And no, this is in Danvers, a city called Danvers, which is where I grew up. It's right next to Salem, and so they filmed this movie in there. It's called Session 9, and it was, and they showed the actual place, and it's kind of what I remember. I only went in there a couple of times, and it was full, so I couldn't have access to all the rooms and stuff that they did in the movie. But one thing was they had stairs that would go down, and the stairs were divided by a mesh fence.
Oh,
So you'd have the inmates on one side and the workers on the other side, so they couldn't get attacked when they went up and down the stairs.
oh my God.
Yeah, yeah. And there was someone that
Sleep well, everybody.
there was a friend of mine. My brother told me he had friends that went there because they shut down in the 80s, I think. And he said he had friends that went there with their girlfriends, and they were trying to be cool going into this place. So they snuck in because it was still guarded, so you couldn't just walk in. But they snuck in, and they looked around and stuff. And they said that they were so freaked out, they all ran out, and they didn't care how they looked. So we don't care how we look in front of the girls. We're out of here. They booted it out of there. They were that scared, and they left everything there. I heard of some other people that went in there, and they actually took these little glass things, and they were pieces of people's brains on the glass, and they were like under for the microscope.
Yeah, so slides.
And they put them. They use them at the house for drink coasters. I'm like, you guys are nuts.
Yeah.
That is nuts. That is gross.
Yeah, that's
Explain the jersey because you just got asked about that.
That is and along with the hat, that is the Worcester Ice Cats, an old American Hockey League team from 1994 to 2004 that I had season tickets for. That is the original, not original jersey as in they wore, but that was when they come. This was the jersey style that they wore, and they made them on sale for everybody before the season ended. So I grabbed one of the original ones, and so that's what that is. It's a replica of their jersey, if you will.
Where your seats were last night. Those were great seats.
Right behind the net. Yeah, we had a good time. Many fine times in Worcester. In fact, I Kenny would know I wrote for a newspaper magazine, hockey magazine, and I got access one night. And I got press access, and I went in to the door 5, it was called, and they still make fun of me today because I went in door 5. Everybody else went into the main entrance, and I went in door 5 to the press area, and I got to go backstage, and I followed the goal judge around and saw some of the stuff that he did. Yeah. And so it was like, here's what we do is we go upstairs and we watch the video between periods and go over the shots on net to make sure it was an actual shot on net. And he was showing me the actual score sheet that they used during the game and how they hand delivered it to each team, a copy of it to each team so that they could see shots on net, penalties, plus minus. He said plus minus is the most important thing to these guys. Team.
Now that's interesting. I know it shows team defensive ability, but that's interesting.
Yeah. So he took me to the locker rooms and I couldn't go in them, but he was delivering the stuff and he would tell me what was going on with that. And it was really neat. He kind of took me under his wing and showed me all around. And finally I got to interview one of the players he was actually banged up, and he was an NHL guy too, but he was at the rink getting therapy. So they let me interview him. And so I was right after the Patriots won the Super Bowl. And so I was like, so the Patriots just won the Super Bowl. So are you guys, you guys pumped up to maybe try to win a championship here in Worcester? Well, no, right now the coach has his focus on the next game. The next game is what's important to us. Oh, all right.
Cliches.
Yeah. So everything I asked him was a canned answer. I was like, geez, no wonder why people hate interviewing hockey people. Just he wouldn't open up. There was no emotion. It was all, no, the coach has got his focus, and I'm trying to get back in rehab so I can get on the lineup.
I interviewed people that was just that. I interviewed.
Yeah. And it was that bad. And I so I was just like trying to get him anything, but no, it was all just canned answers, and nobody he didn't want to tip his hat to anything. And I wasn't asking him any secrets. I was just, all excited to ask him questions. And he was just like,
what are the 13 secret spices in Kentucky Fried Chicken?
Exactly. He was just like, no, the coach has us ready for the next game, and that's what we're focused on. And we can't do this, we can't do that. And just, it was all just kind of canned stuff. It's, the trainer was working on his arm or his leg or whatever it was. He was talking to me, and I was like, okay, thanks a lot. And I didn't get much out of it. Not that I was trying to gut you by any means, but it's just.
So I got the chance to interview Craig Kimbrell in 2013 for Bleacher Report. They set it up. And at that point, he was the closer for the Braves. And so it was for the World Baseball Classic. And so I get patched into his agent's office. So it's him and his agent, and everything was, I don't remember what we talked about, but it was all canned. There wasn't any, he was coached to the nth degree not to say anything off whatever the script was.
Yeah.
And so, I had my 4 or 5 questions. Again, it was going to be a friendly interview. What's it mean to play for your country? Blah, 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 blah. Just like that.
The only thing he did answer is when I was talking about the Patriots winning the Super Bowl, and I said, so when you're playing here in the minors here, and you're trying to get called up, it says, what does winning a championship actually mean in the minors? So it was something to that effect, and it wasn't a demeaning question by any means, but it was just like,
but it's a curious mindset, yeah.
But it's like, okay, so you're in the minors, and everybody's goal is to get to the NHL, but what does winning a championship in the minors actually mean? Because would you rather go to the NHL or win the minor league championship? Obviously, so I would think that you would play differently to get to the NHL. Whereas if you're trying to get a championship, you might do things different. And he responded, he said, well, he goes, when you're playing, he goes, if you win it all, no matter what league you're playing in, those people tend to get more recognition that won the championship.
Sure.
So he says you'll get more attention by winning that championship than you would if you didn't. And that made a lot of sense,
Right.
So, Kenny, what was so bad about Andy Etchebarren besides the unibrow? I'm kind of curious about that. Older players are great to interview. The younger players, I feel good, got the ball over the plate. Okay. Coach has got me focused on tomorrow.
Yeah, everything was focused. Everything the guys, oh, we're focused. I'm like,
my partner, Ricky Keeler, when I was working covering the Nats, he'd get some minor league players on if they could bother to get them from batting practice, and it was the same rehearsed stuff. I mean, there was nothing original said, and we'd do 10 minutes on it, and Ricky feel good that he got the interview. It's like, Ricky, he didn't say anything. You could have made it up. Yeah, I got to learn how to throw strikes. We're not looking for you to throw your trainer or girlfriend or manager under the bus, although we would like that. But, it's all just so. Do they start coaching these people in AAU? Okay, you're 14. Never say, I hit my free throws.
I had a lot more respect for writers at that point because they got hockey writers, especially. They had nothing to work. This guy gave me nothing. And it was just, again, not that I was looking for anything crazy, but I was all excited about the Pats winning the Super Bowl, and I was trying to talk to him. And he's just like diffused that, shot that away. Nope, we're not worried about winning titles.
I've seen the other side of it though, where you go. I walked in on an interview at Champions in Cromwell, Connecticut. It's the practice facility for the Hartford Wolfpack, and Ken Jernander was the coach at the time, and he was being interviewed. And I kind of walked by and I was looking at the rink. I was looking at it for different reasons. I was kind of stealing ideas when we were rebuilding our outdoor rink in Groton. And Ken Jernander turned and looked, and he started a conversation with me. And I don't know him from anywhere, but he just started talking to me. And it was kind of like trying to get rid of this reporter because he was just keep asking him question after question. I mean, after so long, how many more questions can you answer? So I had a conversation with Ken Jernander, and it was basically just a cop out for him to get rid of the reporter. And it was kind of funny. It just, the guy's standing there with a notepad, like looking at us. And I'm talking about, I was dropping names about Bob Crawford, who owned the rink and whatnot. And
it was like Chevy Chase Vacation when he went in to see the boss, and the boss was like, get me somebody. Anybody.
Yeah, exactly. I was the anybody. I was the nobody.
Hey, how's it going?
How's it going? Wow. Yeah, because you can only be asked about, going 1 for 5 in the power play so many times. Did you see the blanking game? What were you doing for 3 blanking hours? Stupid blanking question.
Yeah.
Andy never became a manager. Usually say catchers make good managers, but that's not how you do that.
Yeah, you were telling your story about being, back in, in behind the scenes in Worcester. I actually got an opportunity like that in Hartford, and was pretty cool. But I went down with a American Hockey League linesman, and he took me down behind. It was in, I don't know, like 2001, 2002, and it is a long story. Get yourself comfortable, Dave. You know how these go.
Don't choke on your ginger ale there.
See how evil he is? So he's got control of that. He's the only one that can control that. And evil. Yep, there it is. But I'm going to tell my story anyway. So yeah, I got to go down with the linesman. He had took him into the linesman, into the officials' room, and then give me a couple, a little tour of the locker rooms and so on beforehand. I guess the impressive part for me was that when you went into the officials' room, they had coolers sitting there, and they had pretty much everything they wanted. Gatorade, water, skate laces were all stacked up, and tape and gum and anything they needed. So just before the game, I leave, I go upstairs, I watch the whole game, I go back downstairs. Coolers have been removed, new coolers in, full of beer. And they do take care of those. They really do take care of those guys. And that's the end of my story. How's the timing on that? Good?
Well, please continue.
I've been nice and quiet. I've been kind of let you guys go. Kind of like that third wheel here. I try to dive in from time to time. So.
Match game. Did you see the game? Yep.
Did you see the blanking game?
We should all get credentials. I don't know what we could get credentials for. I'm not being mischievous. I'm just trying to keep the show moving.
So you can tell another boring story for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Tell us about the time you tried to piss in the trough at the greatness.
I almost did too, and I was like, "Why is no one else doing this?" And
I tell you what, I see that would be a weird way to wash your hands.
Little Johnny standing next to him trying to wash his hands. Dave's peeing in the hand.
Right. I mean, but again, as someone who hadn't been there and had done that in Fenway Park,
this was not an invitation for you to go on about it for 5 minutes.
No, this is good. This is good.
Oh,
all right, so see, I did it to myself too.
There you go. That almost makes up for it.
Almost. So, but anyway, all right. Well, we could probably wrap things up. We've had a pretty good talk tonight. We've gone on for a little while tonight, as we talked about. Yeah, some of our favorite sports moments that we've either seen or been to. Plus, we talked about some what your favorite moment of urinating. So that was on the topic tonight. I'd like to thank Dave Little for bringing that to the table. Thank you, Dave.
Dave Little bringing up peeing stories.
I told you a pee story. I told you about my dad.
Make sure you change the title of this when you post it to peeing stories instead of Tuesday.
Yeah, no, I don't need clicks that bad.
We had the public bathroom at the mall that I took you to, and so there's only one bathroom I could use. It was a changing station.
Yep.
So one day going in, I must have been working a longer shift. So, Sarah brings me to the bathroom to go, and there's someone shooting up in there before I go in there to pee. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm on my 10-minute break from work. I'd like to take my leak.
Yeah. They had a thing over here about that in some of the Starbucks where they were trying to do like the politically correct thing. Anybody can use our bathroom. You don't even have to buy from us. Just come on in, and anybody off the street can use our bathroom. It sounds all well and good until people were going in and seeing junkies shooting up in there. And people stopped going to that Starbucks for that reason.
Oh, absolutely.
Starbucks like, we might need to rethink this because...
You know what Five Guys does? And I think it's very clever. They put the bathroom code for the day on the receipt.
That's
and so when you go to the bathroom there's a combo lock. And so if you go and ask, oh, no, you got to buy something. But if you know you can look on your receipt and it says 4758 or whatever it is. And so that's how you know to get in the bathroom.
I've been refused the bathroom once at a McDonald's, and it was in New Bedford, Massachusetts.
Really?
And, and look at me. I've had my share of McDonald's. Okay. I've got myself covered for, it should be unlimited bathroom usage, but this store had a policy that, absolutely for customers only. And I can appreciate that, but man, did I really need to go. So I went to the counter. I'm sorry. I went to the door first. Door was locked. I came back and I said, hey, can I use the restroom real quick? And the woman says, no, you have to buy something. I said, listen, I'll buy a coffee when I'm done using the bathroom. Nope, you have to buy the coffee first.
Yeah.
And then I just changed because it's like, listen, I got to go bad. Like, I can't hold it. Like, can I use that bathroom? I walked out and I ran across, I think it was a Dunkin' Donuts across the street. I left my car in the McDonald's parking lot, ran across the street. But it was like that kind of, listen, you can break the rules a little bit. It's not like I'm asking to
what I do is when I don't travel as much anymore, but when I'm on the road with my car, if I pull into any place, Dunkin's or McDonald's, I try to make it a point to buy something.
Absolutely.
Okay, I go in and sometimes I'll buy first and go to the bathroom while I'm making the order. Sometimes I'll go, but I mean, I've never been told no, but I always at least try to buy stuff. Now, there's been a couple times that I've gone into a McDonald's or a Dunkin's and I get in line and the line doesn't move.
Sure.
And it's like, okay, I used your bathroom. I wanted to patronage your store. I feel that's right. But no, I'm not going to sit here for 15, 20 minutes to get a Diet Coke or whatever it is, just to kind of feel good to myself. And so I would leave. And it's like, and I would look at him, it's like, the line ain't moving. You guys are too slow. I'm getting back on the road. I would have bought something if you were a little bit more,
Our Dunks, the bathrooms are locked. You have to buy something and then say, "Can I use the bathroom?" And they'll press the button and you go and you run in. I like what PJ had to say. He peed against the window.
I was expecting that kind of a story out of Ray.
Me too.
I really was.
But Ray doesn't want to get caught for.
But we know it wasn't a long story, though.
Oh, no.
We know it wasn't a long story.
I'll always complain about these bathrooms. The worst part is, I'm really
Ray, that went right over your head, buddy.
Yeah.
That went by like a. That was like a freight train.
Yeah. All I'm gonna say is, I wish these places would start putting in heated toilet water. It would really be nice.
I always liked that when you went to Burger King and the water was blue.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah,
I remember that.
That was weird.
We've really kind of got off the rails now.
We have. This is what happens. This is what happens when you put us together. But
it's the peeing show.
Anyway, so all right, so we're gonna jump out now as we approach 8:23 Eastern time, and I don't even know what day it is because every day is the same to me.
Tuesday.
Tuesday. So Wednesday might be Game Hounds tomorrow. I'll have stuff to talk about as I was playing my. I'm gonna go back to that tonight. I think going to my my Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 that I picked up today. So I'm gonna go back to my Russia sub base or wherever I am and go play some of that. I played it before, but it is fun. Yeah. Going back to my book, Icebound, which, boy, that was the good opening few pages of that book, Ray. I don't know if you caught that, but I decided that I picked up this book at like a Salvation Army type of store, one of those places where people dump off the stuff and they sell it real cheap. And, you can find video games there sometimes, but they had a whole bunch of books. And I found this book called Icebound. And supposedly this guy got really good reviews. He's got a whole bunch of other books. So if this book's good, I'll go pick up some of the other stuff. And it's about people in the Antarctic and they're in the space and they're diving underwater and they find a cave and there was a spaceship in the cave. And like that was in the first few pages, like, oh, this could be good. This is going to be good. So I got my game to play, got my book to read, going to try to have some fun. I'm going to go through and I'm going to pick up another, some more hockey seasons. And then I'm going to try to you got to probably tilt it a little bit, get away from the glare. Tilt. Yeah.
It says, is this a long story? I had to try to get back.
I'm wrapping up. That's what I'm doing. I'm wrapping up. So I'm going to try to, I might pick up that golf game too, Ron. I like the idea of all 18 holes, a hole by hole. I like golf games like that. So I'll see if I can find, I'll pick up a golf game, maybe some hockey season from, see if I can support them a little bit without breaking my bank. Thank you, David. Thank you, PJet. And everybody else for tuning in tonight. It's already Wednesday with you. Yes, thank you for staying up with us, David. That means a lot to us that you've been tuning in pretty much every night with us. And it's like every time I talk to Ron, it's like, no, we got to do the show tonight. I don't care as long as we're all okay. We're going to do the show, and we have some different people like Ray and Flinner will come on, so that's kind of fun. So, no, that was not LOL. Kenny, don't let me boot you. Don't make me boo you out of the chat room. No. And yes, try to support him, Robbie. Go to sportsreplays.net. That's where I'm going to go, sportsreplays.net. And I'm going to try to find a couple of games. Definitely the golf game. I mean, I could probably spend $20 and get a whole bunch of stuff. I probably could, So that is that. Let me see, Larry. Thank you, Larry. you've been coming in regularly too. Thank you so much. As we sit here and chat, and we try to chat about a little bit of everything because we know we got a mixed crowd, so we can't always talk about the cards and dice table sports games because we have a mixed crowd here. Some of I have some hockey players, I have some people from high school, and you guys probably have some friends poking in. So we try to mix up the conversation a little bit. Last was it last night we did movies, or the night before we did movies? Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay, Sunday night was movies. That was good. Last night was kind of open forum a little bit.
Or
And then
You had a
tonight,
topic last night. I'm trying to remember what it was. We were talking about something last night. That was a Yeah.
a variety of different things.
yeah, we tried to talk about something last night. I don't think we ever come up with anything. But tonight, sports moments was kind of fun. We're trying to talk about happy, fun time things that put smiles on our faces during a bad time. And Kenny says he's been booted out of worse places. So yes, he has. So, but anyway, so if anybody has an idea for a topic for tomorrow night or going forward, let us know. Just post a comment on the video, either on Facebook or YouTube, and we'll try to see if we can incorporate that. And then we try to have some fun and not talk about all the bad stuff going on in the world as we try to plug our way through another day of this absolute craziness that's going on. So I want to thank my guests here. Ron, thank you for coming again. And Ray, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, great to have you be here. Yeah, great to have you, Dave.
It looks like you got your setup going on there a little bit better.
Working on it, and coming up with something a little better. And so it's still a little odd to have the camera up here, but we'll work on that. Like you said, national back order of webcams lately. So
cheap is yeah, that is nuts. That there's a handful of things you still can't get right now.
And I've been trying, banging around different sites at B&H and all the rest of them, and just nothing. It's national back order. So
it is. So
make this work.
Bill wants to talk about women's tennis. So we're gonna have Bill on tomorrow night, and he's gonna jump on a webcam, and he's gonna talk about all the things he knows about women's tennis. So that should be kind of fun.
I can't wait. That's gonna be fantastic.
Yes, it is. So at some point we'll have women's tennis on. I think Bill used to play women's tennis too. So I mean, he'll give us a first-hand account on forehand and backhands and volleys and serves and nets and all that fun stuff there.
Was he the one that grunted every time he hit the ball? It might have been him. Remember that?
I think every
tennis player that had that grunt.
Every time he gets out of bed in the morning,
that's a grunt, man.
He rolls out of bed in the morning, like, oh, my back. Oh.
My favorite women's player is Ivana Skrimola.
Oh, who is it? Who was the tennis player that dated the Russian hockey player?
Oh, Anna Kournikova. She dated Pavel Bure.
Was that okay? That was Bure and Kournikova. Yeah.
Yeah, because the other Bure is married to Candace Cameron.
That's
Valerie,
right.
Valerie Bure. Yeah, so the other one married.
Yeah, who played in Full House, which is a show I make fun of every week on the podcast.
There you go.
Bill E. Gene King. Okay.
Jeez.
Bill, you missed the conversation when we were talking about the troughs at Fenway Park, because that's what
again. Talk about this again, huh?
And so I was used to peeing in the troughs at Fenway Park when we went to the Red Sox game, and my first time that I went to Great Woods, they had the big circular thing with the fountains for the hand wash, and I thought you peed into those things, and I almost did. Luckily, I didn't. But it was
when people tell a third story in a half hour, I kind of wonder if they have dementia.
Well, people come in and out, and I think he was one of the guys I was at Fenway Park with back in the day. He used to drag me down there.
The world needs to know that Dave almost peed in the.
Yeah. Gretzky's daughter, did she play tennis?
Pauline is married to Dustin Johnson. Dave Little.
Oh, stop, David.
Off the rails, down the ditch.
Oh, boy. Too funny. All right. On that note, we're going to really sign off here this time.
Good night.
Yeah, we're going to sign off for real. So we'll be back tomorrow night with, who knows, maybe women's tennis. Maybe Ron has a good story for us. Who knows?
I'm sure you'll give me a hard time for telling it, whatever it is.
Of course I will. But that's how we do things. All right. Ron, Ray, thanks for joining me tonight. And to everybody that joined us, thank you so much. And we'll talk to you later. And I got to figure out what jersey I'm going to put up tomorrow for tomorrow's show, because that's all I...
Danvers State Hospital, class of 94.
I wish I had a Falcons jersey. I really would. That'd be cool. So, all right. Talk to everybody later. Bye bye.
Good night.
Good night.